This morning, a man is charged in connection with an arson at the Pennsylvania governor's residence while Governor Shapiro and his family slept inside. Pennsylvania State Police said that Shapiro and his family were evacuated around 2 o'clock Sunday after the home was set on fire. No one was injured, but as you can see, the fire caused significant damage to the home.
We do know that this attack was targeted. We don't know the person's specific motive yet, but we do know a few truths. First, this type of violence is not okay.
Joining me now, CNN's Gene Casares. Wow, this is, Josh Shapiro. They were sleeping in the home. They had just celebrated Passover, and someone set their home on fire. What can you tell us?
Well, we've got the criminal complaint now, and in fact, we have got a lot of information. First of all, the charges. The top charge is attempted homicide. Wow. That this person tried to kill the people inside with these homemade incendiary devices. Next, aggravated arson. We also have burglary of a home. And then we have, as the fifth count, terrorism. Cody Balmer is the name of the suspect who has been arrested. He actually had a friend of his, a female, call police to tell them he wanted to turn himself in. He turned himself in. He was given his Miranda rights, but he started to talk. Here's what we know. He said that he walked about a mile to get to the house, and that's when he he jumped the fence, threw the first incendiary device into a room. Police tell us that was the piano room. And then it took off. And then he went to the second window he saw and threw a second incendiary device in. That would be the dining room. It took off. He said it was Heineken beer bottles that he had put gasoline in. He jumped through the second window. He was actually in the mansion at that point, and then finished his business and left. He was asked by police, did you believe that somebody was going to be asleep in the house at that time? He said, yeah, I knew that was a possibility. That's important. Yep. State of mind, that goes to intent to want to kill who was ever in that home. He said he hated the governor. Now, motive is not in this description right here. He may have told them more, but they don't need motive. They need the elements. But here is what the governor had to say the family was doing the night before.
Hear me on this. We celebrated our faith last night proudly, and in a few hours, we will celebrate our second Seder of Passover again proudly. No one will deter me or my family or any Pennsylvanian from celebrating their faith openly and proudly.
So then the police also asked the defendant, what would you have done if the governor had confronted you in the mansion? He said, I would have taken my hammer and I would have started to hit him. And they found, Sarah, a sledgehammer at his home.
That is terrifying. Gene, I know you got this information just a few moments ago, and you really sort of broke down why terrorism is one of the charges there. I'm sure we will be learning more. Thank you so much for that. It was great.
CNN's Danny Freeman has more now from Philadelphia.
It was an extremely troubling and frightening night in Pennsylvania's capital after Governor Josh Shapiro's mansion, the governor's mansion residence, was set on fire intentionally, according to Pennsylvania State Police. The main headline that we learned Sunday afternoon is that there was a suspect taken into custody, 38-year-old Cody Balmer. He'll be charged with attempted murder, terrorism, aggravated arson, and aggravated assault. That's according to the Dauphin County District Attorney. But here's a little bit of a timeline of the best that we understand as to how this all unfolded. On Saturday evening, Governor Josh Shapiro was holding a Passover Seder for the first night of the Jewish holiday of Passover. He was with his family. He had guests over at the governor's residence as well. They all then went to sleep. And then at some point in the middle of the night, just before 2 a.m., Pennsylvania State Police say this man, Balmer, jumped a fence at the governor's residence, evaded state troopers who at that time actually realized that there had been a breach. The man was then able to break into the residence, set fire to the residence, escape then by jumping back over the fence. He had homemade incendiary devices on him, according to Pennsylvania State Police. Then at 2 a.m., Governor Shapiro said that he and his family and some of his guests who were staying over were woken up by bangs on the door because first responders were alerting him that part of the residence was on fire. Thankfully, though, the fire was in a different part of the building from where the governor, his wife, family, and guests were, and first responders were able to knock that fire down. Amazingly, no one was injured, but again, now there is a multi-agency investigation ongoing into exactly what happened here. The investigation being led by the Pennsylvania State Police, but also being assisted by the FBI. And I just want you to listen to how Governor Shapiro characterized what he was feeling after this entire incident, clearly overwhelmed by the level of support that he's received from so many across the country after this incident. But also he said that he will not be deterred by violence from doing his job or by practicing his faith.
This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other, directed at one particular party or another, or one particular person or another. It is not okay.
Now, Pennsylvania State Police investigators say that this investigation is ongoing, and they're also reviewing security protocols at the governor's residence. At this time, CNN has not been able to get in contact with an attorney for Ballmer. Danny Freeman, CNN, Philadelphia.
What questions do you still have? What is standing out to you?
Well, the biggest thing is everyone's going to ask, how could he get over the fence and into the house without the troopers finding him? As you look at the property now, it's actually fairly decent from the fence line to the house. It's 2 a.m, and anytime the first time something happens, it's really tough to anticipate that. No one's ever broken over the fence and lit the residence on fire, so that's not what they're expecting. They probably had some type of protrusion alarm that someone got over, and they were looking for someone who was on the grounds, maybe looking to, do some graffiti or something along those lines, because they haven't had something this serious. So I think when they look at the after action, and they're going to be very critical, they're going to need technology, sensors, lighting, motion detection lighting to help them do it, have a dog on presence, up the number of people that are on the residence in the middle of the night, because now it's coming to the point where this is going to be prevalent. Violence is starting to happen. As Andy McCabe said last time, there's no federal domestic terrorism charges. There are state ones. So that's going to come into play on the prosecution side. But I think really what's going to happen is you're going to see a much bigger detail, and you're going to see more permanent personnel around his residence and his family.
It is so striking to know that this person was able to make it inside the governor's residence. And the way they were describing this, that this person, they said, was quite methodical in how they did this. They had these homemade incendiary devices, as you and Danny noted, and then they were back over the fence, and that they were apprehended, I believe, just a little time ago. It is remarkable that all of that was able to happen, and we look at the images. This was a very, very serious situation.
Oh, absolutely. If he had a better layout of the house and understanding maybe where they're at, and he was more determined to actually do harm to them, I think you could have a very different situation. I think probably when he went in and lit the fire, the people that were on call at that time were going directly to the family to get him out. And it probably lessened the number of people that were able to look for him, because you want to deal with his safety first. Again, I think you're going to see a lot bigger presence when they get this house repaired and he goes back in there, that they're going to have more permanent personnel around there. They're going to have probably dedicated people, and then you're going to have to harden the entries and like that. So when I do security assessments, that's what I look at. If someone gets over the first barrier, how long does it take them to get to the next barrier? How quickly can they get through that? Because that all determines what you have to put in place to understand that if someone's motivated and they want to get in there, how fast they can do it.
And we again don't know the motive yet. We do know, as the governor said, he says this was a targeted attack. That's what law enforcement and the DA also said. What do you read into that at this point?
I think they've talked about religion only because, one, he just made a post about Passover. And I think that's the one that sticks out the most. But you're really going to have to start now doing the investigation electronically. Has he posted something on social media? Does he belong to any groups that are anti-Semitism type groups? Is he affiliated with anyone? Did he text anyone about this? Also look at when he bought these items to make these incinerated devices, because you look at when the governor posted that photo to how quick, and depending on the devices he had, how quick he could make them. He may have already had this in plan, and it just happened to be that he posted the pictures and people are linking it to it. But also look at some of the laws he just passed and some things that happened. But that's where the investigations are going to come in to put motive. And they did allude to the probable cause warrant that's going to be coming out. And it may have something that he said that really gives the authorities the idea of why he did it.
Yeah, and they said we should have that in the next, they said several hours. We will see if that transpired, but certainly more details to come. Rob, thanks so much. We appreciate it.